Welcome to part 3 in learning how to play your B-flat scale on Euphonium. So part 1 we looked at the music theory behind it. Part 2 we looked at the basic formation of getting the repetition under your fingers on how to play the B-flat scale. And now in part 3 we're going to go into the more audition style of playing your B-flat scale. So if you're from Florida, you've probably heard of the term FBA style. Well, FBA style stands for Florida Bandmaster Association style. And that's the style that you would use whenever you're auditioning for all county band or all state band. So the big difference for this style is that your first note is going to be a quarter note, then second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth and seventh note are all going to be eighth notes. Your top note, your eighth note, is going to be another quarter note, and then going back down the same process, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, all going to be eighth notes, and then your last note is going to be a quarter note. Now, the other stylistic thing to this is that going up, you're going to do staccato. So a lot of space in between notes, kind of punchy, kind of very short and detached. Going back down, you're going to do slurs. So very lyrical, very smooth, and going down without using your tongue. So just to give you an example of how it would sound like, it would sound something like this. Now, that extra part that I added to the end, that's something we didn't look at before, but that's called the arpeggio. And so what the arpeggio is basically is outlining certain notes of this scale. And so the notes that we're outlining more specifically is the third note of the scale, in this case, which is going to be D, the fifth note of the scale, which in this case is going to be F, and then the eighth note, which is your top B flat. Then you go back down to the fifth note, your F, go back to your third note, your D, then go back to the first note of your B flat. So going with our same style that we did before, we're going to do this style, the FBA or the audition style. We're going to do it 8 times back to back, 8 times back to back. And we're going to put a whole note at the end of it, just so we have a little bit more foundation in terms of rhythm and a little bit more foundation in terms of when we have to repeat. All right, so 8 times all together, tongue going up, staccato going up, slur going back down. We're keeping it at 80 BPM. And the extra clicks you hear are called subdivisions. That's basically a way for it to, so you can hear the eighth notes a little bit more and internalize it a little bit better. All right, let's try it. Give you 2 beats, 2 counts, 2 measures of count. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. So now we're going to take it one step further. Now instead of doing eighth notes, we're going to actually do it on 16th. So we're going to use the same general format. This time, your quarter note is going to be an eighth note, or your eighth note is going to be 16th notes. And we're going to still follow the same pattern of going all the way up, tonguing, going down, slurring. And continuing on our pattern of repetition, we're going to do this 10 times. Okay, 10 times back to back. Subdivision now is on 16th notes. So to give an example, it's going to sound like this. And instead of holding it out for 4 counts like last time, we're going to do it for 2 counts. All right, let's try it 10 times all together. 2 measures of prep. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready. So, whenever you're learning these scales, it is very, very important to have that repetition. Okay, the more you do it over and over again, the more your muscle memory for your fingers set in, and the more that your chops or your armature gets really, really used to going through the span of those notes, going from the lowest note to the highest note in a more efficient manner. Okay, now your scales is not going to come overnight. Okay, it's going to take something that takes up lots of practice, lots of getting used to. So any and always, whenever you're warming up, you should warm up with some type of scale. This is going to help reinforce the things that we learned in terms of the long tones, playing notes for a very long time. And it's also going to help reinforce that, make sure that you don't forget any of the scales or that your fingers don't become clumsy or flimsy. So hopefully this helped you work on your B flat scale, for you to learn it and for you to master it. Check the channel for more scales in the future so you can learn how to master all your other scales and get a real good control and familiarity with them.